7:05, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm Lynn Edwards. Sonia usually runs the meetings, and she is out of town this month, so I am doing it for her. And first thing I want to say is you can find our meeting minutes are posted at rolandopark.org. And there's always a link to the video, which is on Facebook. You don't need to join Facebook in order to view the video. Just click the link in the minutes and you can watch it, okay? Cheryl Bailey, our treasurer, is up next with the dues and membership.
Okay. So for 2023, so far we have 16 members, $192 in dues, $104.26 in donations for a total of $296.26, and that's a breakdown of 13 renewals and 3 members.
3 new members. Okay, great. Thank you, Cheryl. And Jennifer, so that I don't mess this up this time, I'm going to let you lead off with community announcements for Redwood Village. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Working on my lighting over here. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Yeah, I want to say thank you, huge thank you to Bettina and George and Tim for participating in the University Avenue cleanup with Rolando Park. Super awesome of you to take the time to do that. Thank you so much. And also a big thank you to Bettina for offering to, I know she looks surprised, but you know you've offered to do these things, and I really appreciate it, to work with the Choyas Creek committee once a month, and to represent us at those meetings. And again, if you can't make it, let me know, and then we can coordinate something. And last but not least, we have some community members concerned on Streamview Drive about a recent pop-up taco shop on the corner on the sidewalk of Streamview and Michael.
Yes.
10 canopies and fold-up tables and chairs, and it's right outside of some folks' house where they're running a taco shop business on the sidewalk. So some of the neighbors on that street are quite concerned about kind of this restaurant situation permanently on a residential area. So just to bring that to our attention.
Do we know if it's been reported to anywhere yet?
It has, yes. I've sent that information to Martha, and Richard from Oak Park has also reached out to the Get It Done, and I'm sure Bruce Williams has been informed as well. So that's kind of all I have. Anyone else from Redwood Village? I see Deb here, Sandy. Anything else to communicate? Nordine, George.
Well, good. I mean, I think if they were to camp out in front of my house, I would expect breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know what I mean? I love a mean breakfast burrito, and that's just me. I'd have to work the rest of it out in the neighborhood, but
yeah, we'll walk on down there, George. Walk on down my street.
I'm good.
It's not the worst thing that's happened in our neighborhood, but anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I have some friends that just moved back down here from Inland Empire, and there was like a street that you had to go to get to their house, and that whole street this had happened. Like it was literally just stand after stand after stand, and I kind of feel like you got to get that under control, or it's just
Oh yeah,
you're not
no,
going to be
I'm
able
joking.
to.
Yeah, no, but yeah,
Me too.
yeah,
You don't want a farmer's market on your street.
Yeah.
not an unregulated one anyway.
The health department's not giving these people food handling licenses or anything like that.
Well, they do have a food handling license. They do.
Do they have a card in the front of their
No,
house?
they do not have an A card. All right,
Yeah.
so that's all we have to report tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer.
Of course, thank you.
And where did it go? And skip past that. Just wanted to announce a couple of upcoming events. Saturday, March 25th in the Rolando Park Elementary front parking lot. We tried the new joint use parking lot last year and it didn't work out so good. So we're going back to meeting at the front of the school. And we are going to have our annual community seed and plant exchange from 10 to 11:30. Feel free to come by, do an exchange, have some coffee. We'll have coffee there, meet some of your neighbors. It's open to all communities. It's not specific to Rolando Park. So we'd love to have some people from Redwood Village join us if they're so inclined. Okay. This is just an early announcement. We're going to have our annual Xena Canyon cleanup on April 22nd. That's Earth Day. And that's with our friends at I Love a Clean San Diego. And registration opens April 1st. We usually get a very good turnout for this. So I'm just giving you a heads up that that's coming.
Lynn, just real quick, you're not sharing the PowerPoint screen.
It's not sharing? Oh. Are you sure? Oh, it shows it on, okay. Can't see it.
We can see the screen where it's got all your files.
Okay. Let's try that again. There we go. Try this. Will this open? Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So anyway, just to back up real quick, seed and plant exchange, March 25th. Xena Canyon cleanup coming April 22nd. Like Jennifer, I want to say a big thank you to everyone from Redwood Village and Rolando Park who came out last Saturday for our first University Avenue cleanup this year. This is the first of 4 that we're doing. We had a great turnout and we'd love to see more volunteers. We were there an hour. That's really about, we're trying to make these an hour and a half, an hour maximum. Not to type anybody's time. So thank you. And to follow that, Bettina, thank you, Bettina. Bettina and I put together a tentative schedule for the 2 communities for cleanups coming this year that we're going to be sharing. Again, April 22nd is a Xena Canyon cleanup. May 13th, thanks to Martha and District 4, we're going to have a hazardous waste collection at the Choice Operations Yard. That's on College Grove, just past the shopping center. That's free. Be open to Redwood Village, Rolando Park, and Martha, Oak Park, and a couple of other communities, I believe, as well.
What's considered hazardous waste?
Batteries, paint, light bulbs, things like that. We'll have a full list and I'll get it up on our website and post it. So back in June, then we'll be back down on University Avenue for our second cleanup. And that one will be on the west side of College in Redwood Village. We're tentatively looking at a cleanup in July 29th for Streamview. And we've just talked to Martha about getting a dumpster and working with District 4 on that so that we can get Streamview cleaned up again a little bit. Then we have a cleanup in September. We'll be back on the Rolando Park side of University. And then in October, late October, we're going to do a joint community dumpster day event, we think. We're not quite sure. It's still tentative and we need to find a location in Redwood Village to put a couple of dumpsters and do a cleanup there. And then we'll finish out the year in December back on the Redwood Village side of University from 58th to 54th, okay? So there's plenty of opportunities to volunteer here, peeps. And Bettina put together a flyer for us, and I'll be emailing that out to the email list and getting it posted on social media in the next couple of weeks. So you can get all these dates on your calendar and don't be shy. Please show up and volunteer for us, okay? Thanks. I just want to mention again this upcoming capital improvement project on University that's going to start at the end of the summer, because it is going to disrupt traffic on University for about 6 months. And it is supposed to be followed by the bikeway project, which I haven't been able to confirm with them. They haven't returned my call or emails for several weeks. But this project kicks off the first of about 4 sewer and water main projects in Redwood Village and Rolando Park. Streets that weren't completed several years ago are going to be done at this, following this project sometime between the end of summer through the end of the year. So it's going to be a little rough driving on University and around the neighborhoods for a while. And just to show you again where it's going to start, it will start right here at Aragon and University, all the way down to College. And most of it's going to be on the south side of University, but they will be tearing up the north side as well, because that's where the old water mains are. And they're going to leave them in place. And then everything new will be on the south side of University, on the Rolando Park side. So if anyone is interested, I tried to get them to come to this meeting, but because this is going to impact about 4 communities on University, they will be at the EACPC meeting tomorrow night and doing a presentation on this project and giving us some better timelines. It's a great opportunity to ask some questions and see how this is going to impact us, okay? And I have one other slide, which I'd love to share, but the person I'd like to talk to about it isn't here, so I'll save
Yes.
it.
No, he's here.
Oh, he is here. Terry's
He's
here?
He's
All right,
here.
Terry. So I just want to make a quick announcement and say something about our newest Rolando Park resident, and that would be Terry Hoskins. In case you didn't know, Terry just bought a house in Rolando Park and will be moving in sometime soon, I hope. But Terry reached another milestone, and that is he finished his PhD.
Yes.
So applause everyone for Terry. Thank you.
Bravo.
Yes.
I'm humbled and embarrassed. So
Do we have to call you Dr. Terry now?
you can call me anything you like. Most people do. So I'm used to about anything.
All right.
No, Terry's fine. Please.
Okay. Sure. Thank you, Terry. And that's all I have for updates tonight. So did anyone have any questions? Anything else they want to bring up? Sam? Oh, okay. That's for Terry, I see. Gotcha. All right. Then let's start out. Let's start with our community reports, and we'll start with Martha Zapata, our District 9 representative. Hi, Martha.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. And again, I thought it was a very good turnout for the cleanup early this month. Thank you so much for all the residents who participated. And as soon as for the cleanup on March 13, as soon as the flyer is ready, I'll be emailing it to Lynn so she can distribute it to all her email blast. We also planning on flyering, actually delivering flyers through all the communities. We're gonna be having District 9 and District 4 participate on this, I call it mega cleanup, because they're gonna be able to take electronics, tires, mattresses, batteries, all hazardous materials in addition to the regular cleanup. So this event is going to be very good for our communities and for the environment, and I hope a lot of people can participate. So help us to share the word. It's gonna, yeah, you're gonna be getting more details and the flyer when we receive it. Then the next time you contact staff for details on this project that is coming, actually is coming up pretty soon to University Avenue, could you please CC me so I can follow up with them and make sure you get the answers and the response that residents deserve? I don't think it's nice just to have you hanging. And I heard that this happens more than often with our residents. So I want to make sure that that you get answers. If not, I'll pass them until you do.
Okay, you carry more weight. Thank you.
Yeah. And also I wanted to give you an update on the I know before our time when Bruce Williams was here, you guys put a lot of work on the Rolando Park side to advocate for some big signs to be installed in some of our streets because we have some unruly drivers in our streets, and it kind of got lost in the shuffle, this project, but according with Bruce, they pay, District 4 pay for everything that they needed to pay, and it was just a matter of following up. So I did follow up, and the project is alive and well. They are currently working on the they were going to get some materials because I guess those are being built in-house. So they'll start working on those signs pretty soon. Hopefully by the end of, I want to say the end of April, May time, we'll be able to see those signs installed on the main streets on Rolando Park. And let me see if I can find that email real quick. Of course I won't, but that will be on the main streets of Rolando Park. I believe they're going to be Argonne. Do you remember the streets, Lynn?
Yes, the 4,000 block of Aragon, that's north of Celia Vista, on Rolando Boulevard, and on Vista Grande, the 3,800 and the 3,900 block, one each way to slow traffic down when it comes to the four-way stop in front of the school.
Mm-hmm.
So those will be our VCOM radar speed signs will be going in there.
Yeah,
So,
there's going to be a total of 6 signs.
yes.
So hopefully by this summer, just when school ends, those signs will be ready to go and install. And really looking forward. I'll be following those very closely because sometimes dates drop and so forth. But hopefully they will be ready by then. Another thing, let's see. Thank you for putting those. I know you're going to be putting them in a flyer format. The cleanups for the rest of the year for these communities. I think it's very useful, and people can plan ahead of time and plan on attending ahead of time, because we really, the more people who come to these events, the better job we do. Sometimes we can go home even earlier, and we do a lot of good things. It's a good thing for the community. So please plan on attend. Let me see. I don't know if you're getting the weekly newsletters. In our office, there was a confusion, and because Rolando is one community, Rolando Park is a different community. They thought for some reason that Rolando was just the entire community, but it's not the case. So please, if you could, I'm going to ask you to please sign in if you want to get our newsletter. It comes up once a week. That's in addition to the new the update. I'm sorry, weekly updates. We try to put those once a week in addition to the newsletter. Sometimes you'll find information that maybe it's not so much appeals to you, but sometimes you find events that happen in your community and a lot of good things, things that are happening at council that sometimes we're not aware that it is. So we're trying to be as transparent as possible, and a lot of information, it comes on your weekly update. So please go to our page, District 9 page, and sign in for our the updates if you don't receive them already. Most of you, you probably received them, but because that was that misunderstanding with the communities, I don't know where you're at. But make sure you include your community where you reside so you can get the proper news. And let's see, I believe that's all I have. If I remember more things, I'll put them on the chat. Then I don't want to take somebody else's space. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Martha. Anyone have any questions for Martha? No, thank you. And that's great news about the Be Calm signs. Fingers crossed. Thank you. Okay, Mr. excuse me, Dr. Hoskins, you are up now. And you're muted.
That's why I'm a doctor. You don't want me to talk. Terry is perfectly fine. So I don't know, did you by chance, can you share your screen or do I need to try to do mine?
Yes, I'm going to share it.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about Rolando Park first, and then I'll go to Redwood Village. I'll wait just a second or two.
1 second, Terry.
Yep.
All right,
Okay.
Okay.
And Sandra, I was waiting to tell you this evening, so I knew you was going to ask. Okay, so what you're looking at in front of you is a crime stats of the previous 30 days from today. All those little wickets mean something to the right. The ones that, I think I said this before, they started just several months ago using the other, and they just categorize or group a large different ones. So many of those are 5150s, mental detention holds. Quite a few of them are impounds, vehicle impounds, and evidence impounds that someone found or something afterwards. And there is also two warrants in there. So I don't know why they do it that way, but that's how they do it. So if you got any questions, you can please get back with me offline. The next one, Lynn, is Rolando Park again, but it shows the arrests and citations. I do give traffic division suggestions on where they should set up at for their writing violations. I have no idea why they keep picking that point, but and they didn't do very many of them. So I'm not quite sure why they're like that, but that's so the 7 arrests. Oddly enough, 3 of them were from juveniles. 2 of them were mental detention holds, and then 1 was a warrant. And then you had for adults, 1 was an encroachment where NPD arrested someone for continuing to have their encampments where they shouldn't. And then last but not least, we had 2 that were assaults, but they were relatives of each other. So not domestic violence that's for as in husband or wife or significant other, but it was like an uncle and a nephew, and 1 was just 2 friends. So that's the arrest for the previous 30 days. The next one shows Redwood Village. I'm getting my act together here. Oddly enough, that this is the first time I think both of the communities had the same amount of records. So they had 23. And again, most of it is pretty self-explanatory, with the exception of the fraud. The fraud one, I've never heard of this before, but someone got a hold of somebody else's American airline miles, and used them. I guess they had about $3,000 worth of value, and which was kind of weird because, you know, they had to use their own ID and stuff to fly. So it makes you think that it's not exactly the smartest tool in the shed, but still, I thought that was kind of interesting. The aggravated assault was a domestic violence. It was where one party tried to hit the other party with a car. And then the category for the other for here was there was really 3 sets of categories. We had 2 5150s or mental detention holds, 4 impounds and warrants. So that was that. If you go to the arrest side for Redwood Village, it doesn't, should be the next, there you go, thank you. So it doesn't really show it, but if you look down towards the very bottom, you see like a little teardrop with the 5 in it. Right next to that, you got like a little teardrop above it to the right is, I think that should be Winslow, is where that location is. There has been and I guess this location has been vacant for, well, according to neighbors, several years, but it really only came available to us about a month ago. But there was a motorcycle chop shop there. We've continued to hit it since then, but I think we had like 3 or 4 arrests. No, I think it's been like 1. Well, a couple of the arrests have not been there. We followed them somewhere else, but we've taken about 8 stolen motorcycles out of there. So I don't know if that will help cut down any of the nefarious activities, I hope. But the 5 arrests were, 2 were detention holds, 1 was the chop shop, and then we had 2 warrants that was in this area. And then the 8 citations was where the 5 is, that was where 5 of them were. And then 1 of them was under the 2, and the other obviously was where the little cell phone looking things are. So if you got any questions, you can please let me know. So I'm going to pass this on because it really pertains, I think, more to Redwood Village. Remember the old recycling place off of University? It was 5303. It's been a thorn in everyone's backside for forever. Thank you, Lynn, for showing that, by the way. So code enforcement, we got code enforcement on it. They shut the recycle down because they were outside of regulations, been that way for years, apparently. So the same owner there who owns that property owns the one off of, used to be the name Empire. Was it the Empire Lounge, or was that what it was?
Empire Gaming.
Off Empire Gaming, that's right, off of Cartagena on the south end of University. Well, anyways, they had a shooting at this location off of University this past weekend. Well, I think it was like Thursday, and Thursday night, early morning, and apparently that recycle place turned into be an illegal gambling den. They pulled out 23 gambling machines. One guy was shot. So I don't know if that will affect any because I know up Streamview, there's been gambling dens there right at the mouth of Streamview as you start to go up. It was really on the Oak Park side, I think, but still it affects everybody. So I just wanted to make sure that that got out there in case that anyone had any questions on it. If anybody has any questions for me, I'll be glad to try to answer. or locate the answer later on and get back with you.
So Terry, was anybody shot?
Yes.
Did they survive?
Yes. He's still in the hospital. But yes. It looks like he's gonna survive.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. But yeah, it's interesting for Ellie's property. And oddly enough, the business that was in there was a hauling dirt business that came off of Landis Street, just west of, I think, Shiloh, up on top. And code enforcement, we finally got them because it was a business at a residence and they moved in there. So I don't know if it was the same people, but yeah, so I gave that I explained that to code enforcement today too. So, you know, Ellie continues to do her good deeds on her property. So, but yes, did that answer your question, Jerry?
Yes, but the shooting occurred at the 5301 University Avenue. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I just, because of the nexus with Streamview
Mhm.
and their nefarious activities that happens, but there's little area for gambling, and now the motorcycle chop shop, I wanted to make sure they were aware of what happened on University.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Any other questions for Terry? Okay. All right, thanks again. Next up is Sam Gonzalez from Assembly Member Dr. Akila Weber's office.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi, yes. You can only hear my voice. I apologize. I'm on the road. I just got out of another community meeting, so I was like trying to see if I could make it to my office, but I think that's not the case. Not much to update other than the new Heritage Month Community Recognitions Program that we're having this upcoming May. April 28th is the final deadline for submissions. Again, every May we celebrate Asian Americans and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And this year we want to celebrate business leaders and community members you think deserve the nomination and recognition. So feel free to submit. Go to our website. I think it's AD79. I'm not going to do it. I completely forgot the website link, but go to our website, official Assembly Member Dr. Akila Weber website. And on the drop-down link from district, there should be a button for community nominations. And in those fields, you can submit as many times as you want, as long as you click the submit button. If there's any questions, feel free to ask me now. Otherwise, I'll send a link in the chat once I am able to type. Regarding bills, again, last February, we submitted 24 bills to the legislature. So there's a few headlines of those. We have a rape kit accessibility bill, and I know that's a sensitive topic. So if you want more information on that, feel free to let me know. We have a lot more bills, and unfortunately, I'm not able to access them right now due to my condition in the road. But if there's anything else that I can update you guys on, let me know. Any questions for the legislature or Assembly Member Weber? Then that is the end of my report. Thank you very much for listening. And yeah.
Thank you, Sam. I've skipped over public comments on non-agenda items. I seem to be doing this, but so I just want to see before we get into our presentation tonight, if anyone has any comments at all on any non-agenda items, raise your hand. Nobody? Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Next up, I'm introducing Fern and Marina from I Love a Clean San Diego. Did I get that right? Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
All
Hi,
right.
everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Perfect. Hello. My name is Marina. I'm here with my colleague Fern. We're from a nonprofit called I Love a Clean San Diego. So just to start off, if you can try to use your reactions, has everyone here heard about I Live a Clean San Diego? Or you can raise your hand if your video is on. Okay, so we got some raised hands, a couple of hearts. Perfect. Awesome. So I Love a Clean San Diego, if you don't already know, is a nonprofit organization. We've been around for a while, helping to inspire, promote zero waste and sustainability, and educating all around the San Diego County about ways that we can reduce waste, why it's super important that we're reducing waste. So that's what we're doing here today, to give all of you a presentation about sustainability. So let's see if I can share my screen. Okay, can everyone see?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's get on with the presentation. Also, just to double check, does this meeting ends around 8:30? Just so I can see how long I have.
Yes,
Okay,
but
perfect.
please leave time for some questions. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we got a good amount of time. Okay, so I Live a Clean San Diego's mission is to lead and inspire our community to actively conserve and enhance the environment through example, outreach, and local involvement. So in San Diego County alone, we produce a lot of trash every single day. So on average, each person in San Diego produces about 6.2 pounds of trash per person per day. And some may say that it's a single digit number. It's not too much, but when you think about how much we produce in a week, out to a month, and eventually up into a year, that number starts to grow and it starts to accumulate. So annually, each person produces about 2,263 pounds of trash per year. So that is a very big number, a little bit more than a ton. So where does our waste go? So there are 3 main landfills in San Diego. Miramar is the largest one, and it is already expected to fill to capacity by 2030. So in about 7 years. The Miramar landfill is about 1,400 acres, and that is about the size of 14 San Diego zoos. So when you go, I'm sure some of you have been to the San Diego Zoo, it takes a really long time to walk around the whole place. It takes about a day. So just imagine 14 of those. That is how big the Miramar landfill is. So when we are filling up our landfills, when all of that trash reaches the capacity, what do we do with the rest of our waste? What do we do when that landfill starts to fill up? Well, we would have to build another landfill. And when we're building another landfill, that is destroying our natural habitat, that's displacing our plants and our animals that live in these places. And sometimes if it's placed next to schools or neighborhoods, that can cause an environmental justice or a health issue. So one of the best ways that we can try to slow the amount of waste that we're making and prevent building more landfills is through reducing, reusing, and recycling, which we'll talk about later in this presentation. So what is in our trash? Approximately 75% of the material that ends up in our landfill could be recovered by reusing, recycling, and composting. So we have 17% paper, 2% glass, 9% plastics, 4% metals. A lot of that can be put into our recycling bins instead of into our landfills. And about 40% of our organic waste also ends up into our landfills when that can be used in our compost. So where does our litter go? A lot of the times we see these trash cans along the streets that are starting to fill up to the brim of trash. And a lot of the time wind will blow some of that over, or animals will come and pick at it, going through the trash, trying to find food. And so a lot of that litter will fall over the top and into our streets. And all of that trash in our streets eventually makes its way into our storm drains. And our storm drains, they were built to help decrease flooding, which is amazing. But when water picks up all of that trash, it gets into our storm drains, out into our underground pipes, and eventually into our waterways. So our creeks, our rivers, bays, and our oceans without being filtered. So all of the trash that ends up in our street, along with oil from our cars, gets washed into our storm drains and out into our waterways. So what happens next? When all of our trash makes it out into the ocean, it gets into our big ocean currents called gyres, and it starts to accumulate in these areas within our ocean. And one of the big ones is the Pacific Garbage Patch. So the Pacific Garbage Patch is really big. It is about twice the size of Texas and has about 100 million tons of trash. And about 90% of that trash that is found in the Pacific Garbage Patch are plastics. So this is an actual picture of the Pacific Garbage Patch. A really big misconception about the garbage patch is that it looks like an island of big pieces of garbage on the surface of our ocean, when really a lot of that are little small pieces of plastics called microplastics that are underneath the surface in our water columns. And this is a picture of a sample found from the Pacific Garbage Patch, and you can see the little pieces of plastic called microplastics. So because plastics are not biodegradable, all of the plastics that we've created are still here on Earth. It doesn't biodegrade, so it doesn't decompose into a natural dirt or a nutrient-rich dirt. Instead, what happens is it goes through this process called photodegradation. So photodegradation is when the heat from the sun breaks this plastic down into small little pieces of plastics called microplastics. And what happens is things like fish and other marine animals will start to consume these little pieces of plastics, and it can eventually trickle its way up to us. So when humans consume things like fish and other marine animals, the little microplastics will transfer from that fish into our bodies. Okay, so some of the impacts of marine debris consist of entanglement. So animals getting stuck in little pieces of plastic. We see fishing nets here. So entanglement decreases an animal's ability to be mobile. It decreases their ability to hunt for food, escape from predators, and with birds, if they aren't able to fly, they aren't able to go through their migration processes. So it just affects overall their ability for them to be mobile. Another thing is ingestion. A lot of times animals will mistake small pieces of plastic or other types of not single-use items for food. A really common example of this is with sea turtles. When plastic bags get into our ocean, what plastic bags resemble are jellyfish, and sea turtles, their diet consists of jellyfish, so they'll eat the plastic bag thinking that it is food, and it gets stuck in their stomachs, and they're not able to digest that. And another impact of marine debris is habitat destruction. So litter will fall into the ocean and it'll litter the ocean floor. We see this picture of fishing nets covering corals. Another really big habitat in our oceans are kelp forests, which we have really beautiful kelp forests along the coast of California. And a lot of time it'll get onto these areas and prevent the productivity and the well-being of the wildlife that live there. Another form of habitat destruction is when things like plastics, fishing nets, other types of trash get into the ocean and they start to block the sunlight reaching the plants that are on the ocean floor. So it prevents the plants from receiving that sunlight and going through the process of photosynthesis and producing oxygen. So that's another negative effect of marine debris in our oceans. So how does this affect us? So these are 4 of the main ways that trash and litter in the ocean starts to affect humans. There's recreation. We all love going out to the beach, out into the rivers and our lakes to fish, swim, surf, all of those really fun activities. And when we have trash in our ocean, when there is things like litter, sometimes bacteria gets out into our ocean. It makes it unsafe for us to enjoy the ocean in the way that we're used to enjoying it. Another way that this affects us is through our food. I was mentioning earlier about how microplastics gets into our fish and other marine life, and we consume the fish and other marine animals. And there's also medicine. So if you don't consume things like fish or shrimp, we all consume types of medicine, and a lot of these medicines are derived from things in our ocean and other items such as toothpaste and ice cream. A lot of foods and a lot of products that we use things that come from our ocean. And then lastly, transportation. We depend on the ocean for transportation, whether that's recreationally and leisurely, or for exportation and importation of our food. So it's really important that we keep our oceans clean for that reason as well. So the ocean produces more oxygen than all of the forests combined, which is a really cool fun fact that I like to share. A lot of the times we think that most of our oxygen comes from forests and grass and bushes and flowers that are on land, but more of our oxygen actually is produced in our oceans. So that is another reason why it is extremely important that we're keeping our oceans clean, so that our marine life is flourishing and the plants in our ocean are able to produce the amount of oxygen that we need to be healthy, not just for humans, but for other living things. So now we're going to talk about zero waste. So I Live a Clean San Diego has this zero waste hierarchy. We have this upside down triangle that shows the most preferred options down to our least preferred options. So the most preferred options is at the top, and that is starting off with reducing/refusing, down to reuse/repurpose and repair, next to donate, then recycle, and last, disposal. So if all else fails, then putting your trash into our regular trash cans. And I'm going to be going into a little bit more depth about each of these different techniques for zero waste. So the City of San Diego has a zero waste plan. The City of San Diego zero waste plan is zero waste is a principle that calls for handling discarded materials as commodities for reuse rather than for disposal, and conserving those commodities through waste prevention, recycling, composting, and other technologies. So the City of San Diego's diversion rate was 65% in 2018. And for their zero waste plan, they are hoping to divert 90% of waste by 2030 and hopefully reach zero waste by 2040. So first off, on that zero waste hierarchy was reduce, refuse, and rethink, which was the most preferred option. So refusing and rethinking when we are out and consuming different things. So when we're out in our grocery stores, trying our best to refuse things that are made out of plastic, that are single use and disposable, and maybe rethinking when our actions when we are buying certain things. So we can reuse our containers. If we do buy things that are made out of plastic, if it is a sturdy enough plastic, maybe washing it out and reusing it again as Tupperware. Maybe using things like mason jars to refill and use over and over again, instead of buying things like plastic water bottles and other single-use items like that. Next on the list was repair, repurpose, and donate. So repairing. Instead of throwing something away when it stops working, maybe taking it in to get fixed, maybe taking it upon yourself, learning a new skill and learning how to fix something yourself if you have the time. There's also repurposing. It's really cool to see how people can get creative with repurposing different single-use items or just any type of item in general. So in this picture, we see a plastic water jug that is being repurposed as a planter. There are so many different examples of things that you can repurpose, maybe using a peanut butter jar as a piggy bank, or using an old cereal box as some type of container for your things. And then thirdly, we have donate. So donating things like clothes, blankets, towels, if they're not too dirty and in a good enough condition, to secondhand stores, thrift stores, and vintage stores. There are a lot of fabrics that end up into our landfills. So to also help divert the amount of fabrics that end up in our landfills, trying to donate them, maybe giving them to your children, grandchildren, other people, friends. Swapping clothes is always good instead of going out to stores and buying new clothes. So now we're going to talk a little bit about recycling. So what goes where? So you are able to recycle aluminum and steel bottles and cans, aluminum foil and trays, glass bottles and jars, boxes, and cardboard. With cardboard, a really helpful thing to help save space is folding that cardboard down just to save space in your blue containers. There's also mixed paper and shredded paper, although shredded paper must be in a paper bag so that when the recycling trucks are picking up your trash, the shredded paper isn't going everywhere out into the environment. So putting them into a paper bag is really helpful. You're also able to recycle food and paper cartons, plastic bottles, cups, containers, jugs, buckets, tubs, and toys, and beverage containers. With styrofoam, you are able to recycle the really big pieces of styrofoam, but the little peanuts, they're too small, so they would have to go into your regular trash cans. One plastic item that is not recyclable are plastic bags or soft plastics like Ziploc bags. So a good rule of thumb is if you can take your finger and poke a hole through the plastics, or if you can crumple a plastic bag into your hand, then it's a soft plastic and it can't be recycled. The reason for that is because things like plastic grocery bags and plastic Ziploc bags, when it gets taken to the materials recovery facilities, so the recycling facilities, it gets stuck into their sorting machines, and people that work at these facilities have to go in and take these plastic bags out by hand, and it's tedious, it's dangerous, and it's gross and time consuming. So just to help save time, not recycling these plastic bags in your regular blue bins. However, if you do want to recycle plastic bags, there are some grocery stores and hardware stores that have special bins outside of the stores where you can take your plastic bags, and it takes them to a special place to be recycled. So there are 3 rules of recycling, right? There's empty, dry, and loose. So for empty, making sure that there's not too much food, or making sure that there's only minimal food residue. The second rule, dry, making sure that there are no liquids remaining. If you were to rinse out your water bottle and it's a little bit damp, that's okay, but just making sure that there's not too much water in it or too much liquids in it. And then third rule, loose, so not bagging your recyclables because of the reason that I mentioned before, plastic bags and soft plastics not being allowed to be recycled. So this is a picture of plastic bags that get stuck into the machines. These workers, as I said before, have to go in and pick out those plastics by hand. So just making sure that we are disposing of our plastic bags right. So again, either throwing them into our regular trash cans or taking them to our special recycling bins that they usually have in grocery stores and in front of hardware stores. So now let's talk about trash. So things that go in our trash are things like hygiene products, diapers, pet waste. There's also dishes and glassware, paper plates, cups, and takeout boxes. Even though they are made of paper, oftentimes they are lined with things like wax or they have plastic linings. So that's why that is not able to be recycled. You can also trash tissues and sanitizing wipes, plastic bags, wrappers, and films, and plastic straws and utensils. Another plastic item that needs to go into the trash are small pieces of plastic. So usually if a plastic is smaller than the size of a credit card, then it's too small, and those will also get stuck in the machines. So trashing really small plastic items. So next is household hazardous waste. It's really important that we're not putting our household hazardous waste into our recycling bins and our regular trash cans, because that can cause things like fires in our garbage trucks. So some examples of household hazardous waste are toxic products, things that have chemicals in them, like chemical cleaners, things like that. Electronic waste like TVs, phones, iPads. Also paint, light bulbs, batteries, motor oil, sharps like needles and syringes, as well as propane and helium tanks. And we already talked about plastic bags and styrofoam peanuts. And then again, if your household hazardous waste or other items are able to be donated, that is a really good option, like such as small appliances, clothing, textiles, toys, sporting goods, and more. Just like that one saying, one person's trash is another person's treasure. That is very true. So donating things that you might need anymore, to secondhand stores so that other people may be able to get a little bit more use out of them. So I Live a Clean San Diego has this website called wastefreesd.org. It is a zero waste call center and database. So if you have any questions on where to recycle certain items, or if you have household hazardous waste and you're not sure where to take it or where your closest household hazardous waste facility is, you can always look, check out this website, put in your item, put in your zip code and your community, and it shows a list of places that are available for you to take your items. And it also tells you whether you have to pay for the services or if it's free. So this is one resource that we have available to you. If you don't really prefer to, if you're not too tech savvy, aren't too familiar with navigating a website, we also have a hotline that you can find on our website where you can give us a call and we will look all of this up for you. We can even make appointments for you as well to drop off your household hazardous waste. So next we'll talk about organic waste materials. So it is 2023. We're able to put in all food waste, yard waste, and food soiled paper in our green bins. So in your green bins, you're able to put in food scraps, so apple cores, eggshells, coffee grounds, even dairy and cooked meat. Another thing is you can put in food soiled papers, like coffee filters, soiled kitchen napkins, soiled kitchen paper towels, and parchment paper. And you can put in yard waste like grass, leaves, flowers, plant trimmings, branches, and non-hazardous wood. So all of this green waste is eventually taken to the Miramar Greenery, and here are some pictures of that. And this greenery recycles over 100,000 tons of green waste per year. And they turn it into a very nutrient-rich soil that they are able to use as fertilizer. Some of this green waste is taken and converted into energy. This is what happens after they pick up our green waste from our green bins. So there are a lot of resources for composting. There's backyard composting education. There are community composting workshops. There are school composting presentations, and the City of San Diego Compost Bin Voucher Program. So there are many different resources if you have any other questions on how to compost, how to get that started. So there's a lot of resources available for you. So going into more zero waste solutions, adjusting your habits. So trying to use plastic-free options, swapping a plastic water bottle for a reusable water bottle, maybe bringing around with you reusable utensils. I've seen that there are fabric food coverings. There's also food coverings made out of beeswax that you can reuse over and over again instead of using plastic. There's also zero waste grocery shopping. There are some stores available where you can buy in bulk, where you can bring your own reusable jar or reusable container, fill up however much you need, so you're not buying more than you need, and also so that you're not using single-use plastic containers or packaging. So there are bulk store options for you, and there are some grocery stores that have things like coffee beans and grains and nuts that you can fill up yourself and bring your own reusable item or reusable container. Again, so you're not using plastic containers. Also, when you're going grocery shopping, maybe bringing with you a reusable grocery bag instead of using one of the plastic grocery bags. There's also things like for your produce bags, there are things like mesh produce bags and other materials that you can use over and over again instead of the plastic ones. There's also zero waste home cleaning and laundry. So you can use things like vinegar, baking powder, maybe lemon to help clean your household items. You can also use things like bars of soap instead of soap that comes in plastic bottles. So just trying to use zero waste home cleaning and laundry items instead of things that are made out of plastic or even things that have harsh chemicals in them. Also, there is food waste prevention. So making sure to wrap your food well, making sure that the lids are screwed on tight so that they last a little bit longer. Making things out of your food scraps, getting creative with what you cook so you're not throwing things away when you can try to get experimental with your cooking at home. There's something that you can do called creating an Eat Me First bin. So you can have an Eat Me First bin and putting things that will expire first into that bin so you don't let food in your fridge expire. Or if you don't want to have an Eat Me First bin, maybe rearranging the things in your fridge by putting the things that expire first at the front of your fridge so you see it first and you know that it's going to expire soon and you can go ahead and use it sooner than later. Another thing that you can do with food waste prevention is when you go grocery shopping, maybe making a list before you go out so you're not at the store and just guessing what you need and maybe buying something that you already have. Before going out to get your groceries, making a list, seeing what you already have so you're not buying more than what you need. So I Live a Clean San Diego actually has some zero waste community workshops and webinars. We have different informational sessions. We have swap and shops. Swap and shops are really cool. We have one coming up. I forgot the date, but it's where you can bring things like clothes and old items, and you can swap it with other people that bring their items, which is a really cool thing that we host. We also have make and take, so getting things that otherwise might have been thrown away, making it into something new. So getting creative and artsy with it, which is always a fun thing to bring your family and friends to. And other hands-on activities such as planting succulents. So some upcoming events, we have a Say No to Single-Use Plastic webinar on Wednesday, March 22nd from 5 to 6 p.m., which goes into how to try to stay away from single-use plastics, which is a hard thing to do. So it just gives you some tips and tricks on how to approach a more zero waste lifestyle. We have a green routines workshop on Saturday, April 15th at the EUSD Farm Lab in Encinitas. So we have a lot of different resources available for you if you want to learn how to incorporate more sustainable lifestyles into your daily life. You can also get involved. So volunteering at an event. We have really big cleanups coming up. One of them is Creek to Bay, where all of the the county of San Diego, we have volunteers from all over the county helping clean up in the streets and in our oceans and near other waterways. We also have weekly cleanups. So every Saturday from 9 to 11 a.m. we have cleanups all over the city of the county of San Diego. So you can always check our website and see when the next cleanup is to see if it's around you. Support city programs, we have our workshops. We're also starting up our landfill tours, which is really exciting. It takes you on a tour of the Miramar landfill. And I haven't been on that, but from my colleagues, they've said that it's very eye-opening. You get to see in person all of the trash. And I've heard that there's a lot and it's really eye-opening. You can sponsor a program or cleanup, and then you can also donate. And if you're interested in getting involved in any way, you can visit cleansd.org for more information. So lastly, before I get on to any questions, I see that there are some in the chat. If you're able to scan this QR code for a quick survey to help us improve our future programs, that would be extremely helpful. And so now I will get on to any questions. Let me take a look at the chat. And let me stop sharing my screen. Actually, okay.
I think it's kind of interesting that we don't have as many of the places here that do like refillable shampoos and those kind of things like they do in Mexico, which is
Yeah.
of one in like PB, but that's really too far for like and the traffic in PB. Like I'm not going all the way over there to do that, but it would be nice if there was more of those kind of places.
They have, I think they have one in Kensington. I don't know if it's still there. To refill like shampoo and
Where's
soaps
that?
in Kensington.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
actually
think it might be
just
one
shared.
of these listed.
Yeah, I just shared the link for that in the chat for
Yeah,
Earthwell
it's in the chat.
Refill. That's the one in Kensington.
Okay, let's see. So does I Love a Clean San Diego assist with the crisis in Imperial Beach, Granada from the sewage waste from Tijuana? Also, are there programs for volunteering to assist with the crisis here? So I Love a Clean San Diego does not help out with that. We don't really go into the water. Most of the work that we do is picking up trash around oceans and along our streets to prevent trash from getting out into the ocean. So there are probably other organizations that do work out in the ocean and help extract trash from the ocean, but I Love a Clean San Diego works more with preventing trash from getting out into the ocean. So picking up trash near our beaches and in our streets. Oh, cool. So Walmart takes plastic bags. That's awesome. Yeah, so you can head over to Walmart, recycle your plastic bags over there. K-Cup coffee. Okay, so Fern answered that one. The tour is awesome. So Jennifer went on the tour. That's so cool. Okay. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, Marina, someone asked if there's an alternative to the QR code. Do you have just a link to the website where they could do the survey?
Oh, I see Fern just sent a link
Okay,
to
great.
the survey.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Okay.
Rena, I have one quick question. Great presentation.
Thank
My
you.
only question is with many of us on this Zoom call we have been working for years doing creek to bay cleanups in this area of Mid-City. And one of the things that we always talk about when we do these things is there's not enough legislation active to keep our little streams clean. They're horrible.
Yeah.
You can clean them up one month, and the next month you come right back out, and it's the same way. Has there been any type of push from your organization to help strengthen? I know park rangers are very, I guess, passionate about this as well, because they're all the homeless that are always in the canyons, it seems like, that are always just polluting everything. And it seems like nothing is ever, that's not even discussed, right? They may not want you to put or change an oil, rightfully so, in front of on your street, because it may go into the drains, and totally agree with that. But yet you have everything else that is entering our intermittent streams like it's, no one really cares. So is there a push from your organization to focus on that more? Because a lot of times when we do all these cleanups, this topic comes up over and over again, to include how they destroy the habitat as well. So can you just kind of briefly expound on that? And again, great presentation. Thank you for taking the time to do that.
Of course, thank you for having us. So I live at Clean San Diego. We're a nonpartisan organization, so we're not able to push forward any certain policies or support any certain type of policies. What we do is when a more sustainable or environmentally friendly policy is enacted, then that is when we are able to publicly support it. So even if individuals within our organization were to want to push through with a certain policy, we wouldn't be able to through the organization.
I have a practical question. What do you guys recommend for people to keep those green bins from getting really stinky?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a really big, a lot of people always ask about that. So one tip that we've heard works is putting food scraps in your freezer, trying to make room in your freezer for your food scraps. And then when it's time for the trash bins to come and pick up your green waste, then taking your food scraps from your freezer and into the trash bins. I've heard that that helps with smell. And I've heard that that's helped with the smell from your green bins.
That wouldn't be practical for me. My freezer's pretty small.
Let's see. Let's see. Other things.
There's no like enzyme products out there or anything like that that would.
Not that I know of. I can also do a quick search after this meeting, and I can get back to whoever I'm in contact with from this club. And then I can get back to you on some more information.
That would be great.
I know
excuse me.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Compost bin and putting things outside works. And don't put in any fats, but everything else goes in the compost bin. And even if you just have a place on your patio, it might be enough.
So putting things like food waste and yard waste outside, like on a patio.
Yeah, I have a compost bin, but it's just, it's just a larger container, and you just put it in there. You can put dirt on top to help keep things, keep down flies and stuff. But it works for me.
Yeah, I'm not talking about a compost bin, I'm talking about
No,
the
no,
green.
right, I know, but the idea would still, I think, work. It's just a small thing, and if you didn't have dirt, you could put like kitty litter or something on it, and it should, the stuff just stays and decomposes. I don't know what you're putting in. I just put in, vegetable scraps and, oils and cardboard, works. You can give it a try.
Okay, so in the chat,
Okay.
Thank you, Nikki.
compost and the best. In the chat, Jennifer said we compost and the best system has been an open pit. It doesn't smell and it breaks down. In the corner of the yard, spray it with water instead of using the green bin. Okay, so thank you
But I'm
everyone
not
for
growing
sharing
a
your
garden,
tips.
so what am I doing with the compost? Like that's
That's
a
true.
whole different thing. So yeah. And I know in a trash can, just a normal trash can, if a bag breaks and it gets all over the bottom of the can, it stinks.
Mhm.
And so I know it's going to be the same thing with the green bin. And so I was just trying to think of what ways you could, because obviously you don't want to be taking your hose and rinsing it off and having that go down the drain. So what's the most practical way to keep that from being a problem?
I know, and this is probably going to sound really weird, but at stables where we have, I have a horse, and there's, a lot of the horses in the stables, they urinate in the same spot. So it becomes extremely, full and mushy and, whatever. So what we do is when we dig it out, sometimes we sprinkle lime on it, and lime will help kill the smell. Well, I don't know if it kills the right word, but it balances out the smell. And lime has always been good for fertilizers. We use this back home when I was growing up in Kentucky all the time. If you didn't have fertilizer, you could use lime and it would work really well. So if that may be something you may want to try to do, just sprinkle, just a suggestion. Maybe you would just want to try that because I know it works at the stables.
Thank you. That's another good tip. That's a really good idea. Lime also helps with decreasing the acidity of soil too, if that were ever a problem that you all have. Where do you get lime?
You can go to any type of a animal feed store like Hawthorne's. There's one up in Del Mar. You won't be able to go to, I don't think, Home Depot or Lowe's, anybody like that sells it. But I know when I get mine from Hawthorne's or the place in Del Mar by the horse area there. So any place like that deals with large animals and feeding will be able to do that. It may be 25-pound bags, but so be it.
Okay. Any more questions, comments? Very good. Well, Marina, Vern, thank you so much for the presentation. Lots of good stuff in the chat tonight too, related to this. So I think we're all excited. Some of us are to get our green cans and recycle starting at the end of May, I think. So, and look forward to our Creek Canyon cleanup next month in Xena Canyon with I Love a Clean San Diego. So thank you again.
Of course, thank you. Yeah, and also thank you for also putting all of these resources in the chat. Yeah, those are super helpful.
Yeah, and if anyone doesn't know, what we always include the chat files as part of our minutes. So if you miss something tonight, you can find it in the minutes at the bottom. I include Terry's crime reports and also everything from the chat. So all the links are there if you didn't capture it tonight, okay? Okay, well, thank you, everyone. That's it for tonight, I think. And we'll see you next month. Okay. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Kara and Cheryl, for helping me out tonight. Wow.
Thank you again for having us.
Thank you again, Marina. That was good. Very good.
Of course.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.